back to Daddy's Smack Plastering.
So in the previous K-rend video, I was showing you how to coat like so, and hopefully on this one I can show you some tips and tricks on how to get it nice and straight and flat, ready for your scratch coat finish, whether it be same day or the next day. And like I was talking about on the how to mix K-rend video, that you can put accelerators in your K-rend to actually make it set off quicker, so you can finish it same day. I personally have never done it and don't even like the idea of it really. Possibly if it's small enough it might be a good idea, but I've never really done anything that's small enough where I've needed to have to finish it same day. So food for thought, guys, but all that info is in the how to mix K-rend video. So here we're on the next stage. We'll have it all coated up to the bottom, and I'm sort of half confident that I'm pulling across the bottom and the bottom's on straight enough that if I just come up this way, I've already practically pulled across that road the way I'm showing you now with my trowel as I was putting it on. Now even K-rend reps or Weber reps will tell you themselves that you don't need to overly flatten and work in your K-rend for scratching off. I have seen guys leave it quite rough and still get a decent finish, but this is the way I like to do it and leave it. So like I was saying earlier, this is a scratched rendered finish. It's a colour coat designed preferably never to have to paint for the next load of years, as it's colour and you can pick multiple colours. This is how I'm going to be finishing it, but we'll get to that in a later video, and or if you just want to watch, I do have a sort of tutorial on K-rend as it is, but we're concentrating on the getting it straight part. So like I say, I'm working on a button on this time, and you don't want to go too mad when you're trying to straighten it. Now, I have done 2 coats previous this, so bear in mind I also wet down the wall. Yes, it has been scratched quite some time at this stage, but I didn't want it to dry. But you still could run the risk of it slumping, especially along the top there where it just pointed. So you kind of want to be careful of straightening it. If it's really, really wet, you might want to let it take up. And as you can see, when I was doing this, not only is it cold, but it's getting dark. But yes, like I said as well, but don't have to overly straighten it and trowel it in flat and rub it with floats or anything like that. But the straighter you get it now, I find the easier it is rubbed, the easier it will be for you to find mistakes and misses. So kind of if you do this stage right, everything will follow. It's basically, that's plastering, preparation. How you set things up will really determine on how easily it's finished and how well it's finished and how well it looks also. So like I always say with plastering, it's gotta not only be right, but it's gotta look good and look right. So you can see that I've lost more light, but that's me letting it take up a wee bit and just filling these last couple of holes at the top, as that is where it's heaviest up there and most likely gonna drop on me. So just using the smaller trowel here, find it a wee bit easier just up along the coping stone that we made in a previous video also. If you are wanting to see any of those, they'll all be easy enough to find on the channel, same as the columns there left and right of this K-rend that I'm doing. Also, when I'm finishing this, I'll also talk about the ashlar cuts in it as well, or as I like to call it, V cuts, sort of the shape of a V. But yeah, also because I'm putting the V's in, I do want to have the good depth. That's why there's such a big button on. As when you're cutting into the V, you don't want to be coming back to your scratch coat render there and having that shining out at you. Otherwise that'll be a nasty little repair you'll have to do very quickly and will take a bit of your time. So again, that's another good reason to have it nice and straight, left and right, up and down. Otherwise, when you go to cut your V's, they won't, even if they're plumb and straight and level, they won't look it, because they'll be distorted, they'll be in and out, you know. So it sounds strange that something could actually be on a level line but not look right, and it'll not look right because it's bumped in and out. So another reason why we gotta have it straight. The other thing you could do when you're rubbing it off is use an eye bar, and that's just basically looks like a shape of a steel beam would be, only it's small aluminium scraping bar for carrying, and you can use it to help keep your level lines. A load of people love them. I have nothing against them, but I do find I get mine pretty straight, and do check it with the level and straight edges I'm going when I'm rubbing off too. But I always put on enough to be able to rub off, and like I say, if you sort of keep it neat now, everything else will follow. So we basically have it more or less straight there, just really doing the final touches here, and then we'll get it nice and flat, ready for scratching off the next day. So you can see these wee spatulas are actually very good for carrying. I find them pretty good anyway. I know some people don't like them because they think they're too flexible, but with the right angles and the right pressure, they can be very, very handy, especially for flattening in the carry-in. As you can see, this is doing most of the work for me as well, straightening. But you know, do what suits you. Not taking much off there, as you can see from the spatula. So just really working in a wee bit of wet stuff now, and I like to sort of do like a wee cream coat over the surface, filling out anything sort of biggish holes need filled out now. And if I had beads on, the likes of the button here, what I would do then is put that wee extra 3-4 mil over the top of those, and that'll allow me enough to be able to scratch off flush to the beads and have a lovely finish right flush to my bead. Where if you just coat to the bead and flatten it in, and then you come to scratch it, you're going to be well in behind your beads. Now, when I first started carrying, we didn't use beads, we were using straight edges. I know a subscriber, we were talking about this, and he did love the finish, but he also found it very time consuming, which is understandable, as you have to let something go and then flip the rule around, and then probably have a couple of odd wee nail holes to tidy up as well. So just checking my button there, that I'm getting it just right. I don't have to particularly be over the top of this button. The button again is just for depth. So basically, guys, I put the cream coat on and then give it all a quick flattening. I don't spend loads and loads of time in this, but I do find this helps the finish coat. And if you do close it in, you'll notice the next day when you're scratching out, the shiners will show up much easier, and you'll get a nice true colour. But remember, if you are doing a bit of wetter stuff, or if you're going to trowel your render here in, that use spotlessly clean water. Don't be using dirty water, because you could really discolour your coloured product here. So use clean water. Again, it's just as it's taken up, as it's skinning, if you just want to just give it a wee bit of a polish and smooth in, and it'll form a nice skin for the next day if you rip it off. And also very important, guys, if you're working around windows and stuff, windowsills, copings, columns, that you make sure you wash them down, bricks, so make sure you keep it nice and clean.
Subscribe to Daddy Smack Plastering.